Spawn, we know all about these guys.
Yeah, we certainly do, and they have made no changes. That's the most important thing on the side of Immunity. They're bringing in the same 5, of course. JK, Smithy, Zahi, Claire, Uberbro, and T-Gun. They've been so reliable.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're even in this tournament, look for them to be one of the favorites because they have brought the same strong lineup in again.
Yeah, and you could imagine that their team play definitely still going to be very, very strong. As we do have the first bans coming through, Thresh being taken off the board, the carrier not going to be able to pick that one up. LeBlanc banned away from Claire, and this is really, really smart. This guy is so aggressive on any assassin that he plays. Taking that one away from him, very, very intelligent. Aurelia away from Chippies as well, and Morgana's being taken off the board. So T-Gun not going to play that one, of course. Likes to be known for these hook champions, but is Morgana very strong as well?
Yeah, of course, and Morgana is just extremely potent in the current meta because we're seeing a lot of Janna being played, and Morgana, especially if you have a heavy initiator, we've seen a lot of Jarvan, we've seen a lot of Maokai still get that black shield on them, and just Janna has a tough time peeling off the carries if there is that black shield in the game.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And one thing to note, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that Rek'Sai is available for this tournament, I believe. So not seeing that one banned away is very, very interesting so far. We'll see whether the villains have a plan for this one, if they are going to let it go through to first pick, because Jace was the one banned away from Claire, and could be an option.
Yeah, so 2 bans thrown at Claire, of course, that superstar mid laner. It will be Janna being picked up first.
Very smart.
And I think villains have hurt themselves with a second ban in Morgana because, as I said, doesn't do great in lane. Janna actually wins the lane quite comfortably.
Yeah.
But late game, Morgana's black shield is just so potent. And 2 bans thrown at Claire, and now looking to pick up Zed in the first round. That's pretty much 3 bans, and Rek'Sai has been picked up as well.
Yeah, that is very, very intelligent. I think the villains may have left open Rek'Sai so that they could get hold of that Janna, having banned away the Morgana, but of course Immunity wanted to pick that one up, and that has let that Rek'Sai get through. And this mid lane jungle combo with Zed and Rek'Sai is so much damage.
Yeah, especially early. Once they both pick up their first power spike, they're going to have a lot of armor penetration.
Yeah.
Of course, Rek'Sai going in that armor pen jungle item, and maybe seeing the same thing come out in the mid lane as well. So that's just going to be so much burst damage when you don't have the early resistances. Claire, of course, quite a good laner, so I'm looking forward to see what he brings out here. Zahi does have Lee Sin available. And
no, he doesn't. Banned away. Last ban on the side of Immunity.
Immunity, wow. So, yeah, I don't know what Zahi will take
and
here.
Maybe
that's
to Dolphs as well, because Dolphs, an incredible Lee Sin player, has been playing that forever. Always has been his go-to jungler, so almost has to be taken away. And Fizz is going to be the lock-in here, and we know that Jake Spawn Tiberia has a lot to say about the Fizz pick.
Yeah, so Fizz is just such an important pick against Zed. If you can play a good Fizz, he can auto-attack trade with Zed early because of that W, does so much burst damage, and that Placeful Trista makes Zed's ultimate useless.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in those 1v1 situations. Fantastic pickup because mid-game as well can play the same role in that split push, and you have to say that it's one of those matchups where you have to hold your ultimate.
Yep.
But Fizz just have so many more advantages. As we see, Pantheon also being locked in for those long-range engages, and wow, Villains isn't messing around at all. Straight away, picking up the Lissandra for some AP damage that's really needed in the top lane, as well as Nami to go against that Janna.
Yeah, and do you think there's a reason why they opted to go away from this Corki pickup that could have come through, instead opting for the Lissandra, making sure that they have a lot of mixed damage instead of maybe getting something like that Maokai?
Yeah, the Q damage on Corki's nerf was actually very, very big, and then they took away some of the travel time as well, so long-range Qs are much harder to land. So Corki has seen fall out of favor a little bit. Graves stepping into that role with the Corki and Lucian nerfs going through, as well as Ezreal. We're seeing a lot of Sivir, however, just because of that ultimate. She's more that support AD. And wow, Nas got through to the last round. I was going to say J4 is also available, and he's a fantastic counter pick to this Lissandra in the top lane. Absolutely dumpsters her, actually.
You've actually spent some time explaining that one to me, but another thing that we've been talking about recently is the fact that we don't think Nah should get through any champion select at all until he has been quite dealt with.
Yeah, Nah and Rek'Sai are kind of in the same spot where they do so much so well. They have high base damage. They bring a lot of CC into team fights. Kind of the same thing. And then their mobility on top of that. So you can deal with high base damage. You can deal with CC. But mobility is so strong in the current meta, especially rotating around the map. And that's why so much emphasis will go through. And Vayne being picked up as the last pick here. They have a very skirmish-heavy comp on the side of Villains. They're going to be looking for a lot of 2v2s, a lot of 3v3s early on in the game after that Blade of the Ruined King has been picked up on Bun Bun and Pengu.
Yeah, and having Sivir with a little bit lower range as well gives Vayne a little bit of a better time in lane, but do you think that she's going to get shoved in way too hard by this Sivir?
Yeah, and Sivir Janna, of course.
Yeah.
Janna adding all that extra damage with the shield, going to be able to repetitively shove that lane in, go visit mid, try and shut down this Zed early. But as I said, if this gets into the early game and villains are able to set up their skirmishes, get some picks as well, Lissandra locks champions down for so long.
Yep.
If she's able to ultimate them, they could really start snowballing this game out of control.
Yeah, and if Bun Bun does well, really making sure that he's on top of when Claire's using that Playful Trickster, and they can get that Lissandra and get that Frozen Tomb down and make sure that this Fizz isn't going to be going anywhere, things could be going all the wrong ways here for Team Immunity that have this sort of team comp that wants to do all sorts of different things at once.
Yeah, and I think the important thing for Immunity in this game is going to be keeping control of the top side of the map. If they're able to ward out and really make sure that Lissandra just can't push the lane in repetitively and look to roam, we've seen that the Lissandras that are playing extremely well shove their lane and then they go visit mid.
Yeah.
Lissandra is not great at getting 1v1 kills, is good in a gank because of the CC she brings, but if you take her mid lane, turret dive start opening up for your team, and with that E coming over the wall, it's just impossible to stop sometimes.
Yeah, that's really, really true. We are seeing a lot of these sort of new picks coming in, but do you think Rek'Sai's had enough time to develop in the hands of these competitive players? Do you reckon all his nuances have been found out, and do you think he's going to be strong enough in these hands? Because, of course, Rek'Sai's only been out a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think Rek'Sai is extremely strong at the moment, and I think the Oceanic pros, from what I've been seeing in scrims as well as solo queue, have been playing a lot. It is pretty much pick ban every single time a game happens.
Oh, well, that is definitely going to say it in unto itself, and probably only going to get stronger and stronger as people work out what he can do. And in the hands of Dolph's also an incredibly seasoned player. Him and Bun Bun actually been playing on the same team together for about 2 years, I could imagine, probably on and off, but I remember Dolph's goes Bun Bun, one of my favorite teams in 2013, so coming through now on a team again, the Villains coming in, and we'll see whether they can take it to Team Immunity, arguably one of the strongest teams here in this Oceanic tournament for the Challenger. Definitely.
If you rack up these teams, the teams that we've seen the most of, Immunity at the moment. They're coming in with the exact same lineup, no changes whatsoever. And you would have to think with that veteran status, that nice shot calling that comes through, of course, J.K. Smithy plays pretty much everything in the game. That they would have the early advantage. But these teams, as the new teams come through, I'm sure we're going to see some very exciting players.
Yeah, we certainly are. And as other players step up as well into these roles, we haven't seen a lot of the other laners coming through here on the side of Villains in the competitive play recently. So we'll see whether they can come through. And of course, the carrier has excited me as well. He's been making a lot of plays in the games that I have seen. And we are, of course, going to have this game coming up for you very soon, and it's going to be very, very exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing whether Team Immunity have developed a new style, because, of course, when these teams have been together for a long time, they can fall into the tracks and just do the same things over and over.
Yeah, they certainly can. Immunity need to be careful that they don't get complacent. As we said, they're the veterans. However, with all these up-and-coming teams, they need to show them a lot of respect, particularly early in the game, because if games get away from Immunity, we've seen that their shot calling does start to crumble. So I think it is very important that they have a strong early game and really come into this best of three and just, try and really take control.
Yeah, really smash that one out. But we are, of course, onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, with Team Immunity on our blue side, taking on the Villains, who are wearing, of course, those red shorts. Bun Bun just doing some meditation here in the mid lane. They have a 5-point defense around this map, not letting anyone in here as Pengu and the carrier just taunting a little bit, seeing what they can do. So no level 1 action, no level 1 strategies coming through. The late invade's not going to come down for our first match here for the Challenger Series. T-Gun just going to poke his nose out there a little bit, but nothing is going to go on. And as standard lanes fare, who do you think comes out on top here? Because I could imagine that the Villains can have a bit of a rough time in that bottom lane.
Yeah, Villains will definitely have a rougher time in the bottom lane. However, I think that early on, Lissandra will be fine top, and it's important to get early farm onto your AP top laner when they do come through. Pantheon is just such a good early game jungler. He's still one of the strongest level 3 junglers, as we see him the golems down on the bottom side of the map. Of course, smiting early to get that new passive out of there for the stun. But he just jungles extremely healthy and is able to visit with that point-click stun on the W and just can be devastating in the early game. So if he can get in there and affect the lanes early, I think that Immunity have much stronger early game presence.
Yeah, and we should definitely be looking to Claire here, as we do see him on the screen. Level 2, when that does come in, he's going to have a lot of pressure to do a lot of damage. As Trickster is picked up, so maybe level 3, actually. You do need to have that WQ combo.
No, sometimes it's just enough to have the slow coming through. I see a lot of players pick up the E early to try and push the wave in their favor, as you said,
okay,
so they get the earlier, and then you can E onto people and just start queuing them. Although it does look like level 2 has been picked up for Bun Bun as well, and never underestimate Zed's auto attack damage early. A lot of people run Armor Pen on him. It does so much, and with that passive, when you get below 50% health, can really start chunking you out.
Yeah, Claire, nice use of that Playful Trickster, making sure that he does some extra damage to Bun Bun in the meantime while he does use that cooldown. And Dolph's here on this Rek'Sai is going to head over to the south side of his jungle, getting through this one. Not going to see too many early ganks, but we do have Pantheon exiting that base, has of course bought a lot of wards, so not actually opting to complete any jungle item at all, apart from his machete, and go for some vision.
Yeah, that's a strange jungle path coming out of Zahi here. Generally, we see people do 3 camps, then pick up their jungle item. Be that the 2 large camps, or even sometimes you can just clear one whole side of your jungle and go back, and then pick up your second buff and use that to gank. Because, of course, CDR, always a nice thing. Red, even more beneficial to have. But yeah, interesting jungle pathing coming here. Obviously, as we said, putting so much emphasis on early vision control.
Yeah, that's really, really true. And what do you think, as far as the new jungle items coming in, do you think the Chilling Smite is something we're going to see out of Pantheon, or do you think that he's got enough CC already?
I like Chilling Smite with the lanes he has. It's important for both Nah as well as Fizz to be able to get those auto attacks off. And with Chilling Smite, especially before the changes come through, it's going to be so important to get your laners evolved. As we take a visit to the top lane, and Nah just has such good laning presence with that evolve coming through at any time. It's so hard to shut this guy down, but it's so important to try and do it.
Yeah, he's like sort of the old AD Nidalee top lane that we saw just being a menace all the time, with the transformations happening all the time. This JK Smithy is going to form back into Little Nah, the adorable one.
Yeah, and Chippers is actually CSing quite well in this top lane. 28 CS does share the equal highest on the map with his mid laner Bun Bun, and Lissandra, when talking about team comps, Lissandra complements every single team comp so well currently in the game. She's got a lot of initiation, but she also has terrific anti-dive, as well as the high mobility that we spoke of, and just is a good solid laner as well. So pretty confident that she's going to be a first pick or ban in a lot of the games as well. As we see Rek'Sai actually heading to the top side of the map, we might see the first gank coming out of this. Dolph's checking for any wards, and a little bit of an overextension coming through from JK Smithy here. He has to be careful. Yeah,
he's in a bit of trouble. Of course, half health now. Has popped that health potion. Dolph's being very patient here, waiting for his time to strike. And going to opt out of this one, of course. With that bounce, Nah is very, very mobile. Can just hop on the head of that Rek'Sai and get the heck out of dodge. So it's going to be Dolph's heading to this mid lane.
With a lot of knockups, Bounce is no exception. You can actually interrupt them in mid-flight. So one of the better gankers is Rek'Sai against gap closers like that. As we see Claire going aggressive and getting absolutely chunked out.
Oh my goodness, that is going to be enough with the Ignite. First blood now going to Bun Bun here in this mid lane. And we talk about Claire being this monster player. Bun Bun, 1v1, no problem.
Yeah, definitely. Claire went a little bit over-aggressive, misjudged his damage there, and just paid for it with his life. Bun Bun's still extremely healthy. Going to be able to push out the lane as well. I don't think Zahi can stop that one. The CS advantage, as well as the experience early, is going to be huge for Bun Bun in this lane.
Yeah, and Zahi only level 4 here as well. Bun Bun has hit 6, and look at how low Zahi's going. Without that Ignite, he's probably going to be okay here against Bun Bun, but it's looking very dangerous.
Yeah, and more importantly, with that stun coming through.
Oh, wow, Chippy's taking a lot of damage. Forced to use that Glacial Tomb. He's going to make it out with that ability. Dulce actually flashing on top of Smithy. Gets flashed on in response as well, and that is going to be the trade of kills. JK Smithy with a fantastic response and brilliant reaction time there in that top lane.
Yeah, it certainly was, and that's why he just can't dive and nah. He has so much health in that transform, as well as the mobility and the stuns that we spoke of. Just able to kite that one out a little bit and take advantage of an ill-advised dive maybe coming through from Dolphs.
Yeah, I was probably a little bit overexcited here, was our Rek'Sai friend here, Dolphs. Looking to definitely make his mark on this map. And people know now that he's definitely going to be aggressive. So that is something to talk about here. Super Giants Pro just using that Ricochet in order to push this wave out consistently here in this bottom lane. We haven't seen too much coming from these guys, but 35 to 58 CS, Immunity doing fantastically in this lane.
Yeah, but there is a huge wave of this turret, so they will catch up a little bit. Not the whole way up, of course. Uber Pro CSing really well in this lane, and Pingu struggling as we thought might happen.
Look at
Much
this, even under the
smoother
turret.
build
So
path,
much rage.
however, for Vayne, I will say, Blade of the Ruined King, because it does give that lifesteal, is such a good early item if you can afford to build it on AD.
Yep.
However, Infinity Edge, oh wow, Zahi's got out.
Yeah, there's the Q from Dolphs, but there's the Chum. The water's coming in as well. That's on Bun. He gets exhausted. That's going to be Zahi picking up a kill. Dolphs is going to fall down. He's going to die in response. Both of these junglers now dead. Bun. Smooth moves. He's going to use that death mark in order to finish off T-Gun. He's just going to wander around there and just pops that ultimate again to get himself to safety. So Claire not going to come out with too much on this one, but does pick up an assist for his trouble. It's going to be a wallop there in the top lane, and Chippy's going to cop that one to the head, but these guys just harassing each other over and over.
Yeah, and it looked like the TP was attempted coming through there from Villain's top lane of Chippies, but not able to get it down in time. I think he actually might have cancelled it himself, or no, Nah jumped in on him, actually, just looking at it. So really nice play coming out of Villains there to trade it the way Chippies did in a 2v3. But good early aggression coming out of IM as well.
Yeah, there's actually the snare coming through from Chippy. He's not going to use that ultimate just yet. It is available, but doesn't have a whole lot of mana. JK Smithy taking a lot of damage, though, from that little trade coming through from Chippies. Just chipping him down.
Yeah, he certainly is, and that's what Lissandra does, especially with the build going here. High mana regen coming through. It will be a Morella Nomicon first buy. Look for those Lucidity boots to come through, and then just spams Q at the waves on an absolutely nothing cooldown as well. JK Smithy
Nara's available. He could actually get the stun here, but decides not to go for it. The Glacial Tomb going to come down. Chippy's very low on that mana, but Dolphs is coming in now as well. JK Smithy finds himself once again in an awkward situation, but just turns it around immediately. A massive Nara into that wall. Zahi uses his man drop. They are going to be able to get another kill here as well. And Team Immunity, what brilliant play. And JK Smithy playing this fantastically, as we do have some more action in the bottom lane as well. Nice bubble coming down onto T-Gun from the carrier. They are going to be able to turn this one as well. So nice trade in response here by the Villains, but Team Immunity in that top lane playing really, really well. Chum the Water's coming through here onto Bun as he does use that death mark. A brilliant use of that, Ian. Claire's going to be okay after that Ignite ticks down. Yeah, and that's why he can't use that ultimate onto a Fizz.
However, was able to get the flash for himself as well, and not having to burn his second summoner spell, so he does trade 1-for-1. That's fine. Bun needs to be careful here. May need to recall. Wants to stay in lane to try and get Claire, but I think Claire's just going to be able to push it out and back.
Yeah, I think Bun waiting for that potion just to do its work in order to heal him back up to a state where he won't get one shot.
See Dolph in the bottom lane coming through for another gank.
Yeah, he's going to get the knock up as well. T-Gun wasn't going anywhere there. Did manage to hit the Q as he came in, and Dolph's now picking himself up a little bit of action. Going to clear out this pink ward as well. And the Villains maybe thinking about going for a dragon at this stage, but we'll see what they do want to do there, as Bun is heading down there. As they're actually coming in. They've got a pink ward on this one, so of course Team Immunity with no knowledge apart from their spidey senses as to whether this one is going to come through.
Oh, they definitely know this is happening. They watched Vayne walk off a full minion wave with full health and mana. They will have the exact timer of this, even though they can't see it. So that is the first dragon going over to Villains. That's extremely important. However, this top of the side of the map is now getting very far out of the hand. Look at JK Smithy.
Yeah, he is going to pop that E in order to get himself to safety, and Zahi now no mana, so he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. There's the Frozen Tomb. Zahi going a little bit too deep. Never go in tower range when there is a Lissandra available. Yeah, because that's what's going to happen.
I spoke a little bit of Lissandra's anti-dive. Any champion that has a lot of CC, we're talking about the Morganas, the Lissandras, that can do something to themselves in vulnerability, Black Shield, are just too hard to dive. You can't see them up. They can use all their mobility to get away. And that's just a very, very poor judgment call coming out of Zahi on what is a squishy early game Pantheon.
That's exactly right, as we do have another death mark coming through on top of Claire. That's going to pop. That's going to pick him up the kill. And T-Gun coming in just a little bit late here in order to do anything, and the carrier available as well. I mean, Bun is going to be A-OK. 4-0-0 now on this Zed. He is getting terrifying.
And this is surprising because we spoke about how Fizz has some answers to Zed, matches what he does very well, as we see a little bit of skirmish in the jungle of Immunity, and has a really good build path. And wow, Uberbro soloing out Pengu.
Yeah, on the hunt actually has been popped here. He is going to try and turn this one around. Spell Shield comes through, brilliantly timed in order to get this one to come out. And Uberbro, a little bit unlucky. No crit's going to be coming down. course, doesn't actually have any in his build yet.
Uberbro read that like a book, knew that the ultimate with the tumble was going to come through. As we have Rek'Sai's ultimate coming out, just to farm up his jungle.
Didn't go very far at all.
Didn't go far at all. Very dramatic sound effects, but just pretty much a home guard.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And yeah, but that's just the experience of Uberbro coming through there. Knew exactly what Vayne wanted to do and just counted the whole way through. Got a flash for an ultimate, and he'll take that every single day of the week.
That's so true. Pengu is just in a lot of trouble, and as we can see, he's down over 30 CS in this lane as well, as Chippy's actually getting aggressive, but look at the Hyper doing so much work. There's a Frozen Tomb. Dolphs is here as well, flashing, but JK Smithy out once again. That bounce can just be so annoying on this Gnar, and he's going to be fine. Dolph's just going to slink his way back, possibly into the enemy jungle as JK Smithy takes his way out. And Team Immunity waiting for the bottom lane of the villains to come back around.
Yeah, and JK Smithy, because he knows that Dragon's been taken and how far out bottom lane is pushed, could probably even teleport if he wanted to pick up that wave. But he is deciding to just walk back up there. And this is the danger lane that we're zooming on now. Claire is getting further and further behind, 30 CS and a 4-0-0, even though Uberbro is getting fed.
Yeah.
If this Zed keeps going the way it's going, Bun Bun is going to have no problem blowing him up whatsoever. As we do jump into a replay of exactly what happened in the top lane.
Just going to be harassing through, and we've got Dolphs waiting in the wins, and as you can see, just gets the ultimate off, and it's just too much damage.
Yeah, as it came through, it was just JK Smithy able to jump away from it. It was just one of those things where Dolph needed to go a little bit earlier as the ultimate was still on. Maybe just a little bit of miscommunication coming out of Chippies. As wow, we do see a little bit of a start to a siege now coming out of IM as well.
And they don't have necessarily the greatest siege comp, but Uberbro is managing to get some auto attacks down onto this turret, as there are only 3 members of the villains available. And there's going to be the knock-up here on Zahi. The death mark's on him as well, trying to Monsoon to save his life, and it is going to work. T-Gun now may have to sacrifice himself at this stage. He's going to use that flash to get himself to safety. And the villain's not going to chase any further than this. The Q coming through from Dolphs, of course. Rek'Sai with that burrowed Q going to be doing we're going to have a lot of range. As you can see again. In fact, has a fantastically high AP ratio if you do build a lot of that. So just a little bit of an FYI.
And a little bit of an invasion coming through. Looks like miscommunication from IM on that example. Zahi stayed for so much longer than he should have.
Yeah, Void Rush just going to go to the red buff here. Dolph's just going to clear that one out as we have Claire now in split push mode. And we'll see whether he is going to be strong enough in order to make this one work, as we do have the Grand Skyfall coming down. Pengu is going to be absolutely fine. Nice Aqua Prison to stop Zahi from coming in.
That was pretty bad placement actually from Zahi. They were trapped between a Fizz who has a lot of CC, even with his just playful tricks to slow people.
Yeah.
And the longest lane on the map with no turret.
Yeah.
If he had to place that a little bit further back, he would have covered River as well as the lane, and that would have been a certain kill. So a couple of little errors coming out of Immunity early on in this game, and villains are really capitalizing.
They certainly are. Chippy's now harassing under this turret as well. Nice use of that Q to make sure that he hits it on a minion and then hits JK Smithy, but I think he's going to be fine. Dolph's now waiting in the wings. I think JK Smithy is being targeted here, but as Mega Gnar, he should be okay, especially if he stays back and farms with those rocks.
Yeah, if they try anything here, this actually might be a 2v1. JK Smithy is so strong, and they're in turret range.
There's the E coming through as well. He's going to be able to get the Gnar off in the meantime, though. That's going to be the tower doing so much damage. JK Smithy trying to get some work done, and as we can see, here we are. The Hyper is going to stack up. He's going to pop that with his Boomerang. Look at the slow coming down as well. The last proc, and this Gnar is just terrifying in this top lane.
This is extremely questionable coming out of villains. They are winning mid lane. They're starting to win bottom lane. Why would you keep going back to the Fed Gnar and just giving him more CS and more kills? JK Smithy, especially when he's about to go into that Mega Gnar form, is just able to absorb so much punishment and just dish out all of the damage.
Yeah, and it's giving them so much control over the top side of this map as well. Even if they may not necessarily have the vision yet, losing that tower on the side of the villains is definitely not going to be working in their favor, because we do have a 2,000 gold lead approximately, managing to stretch out here for Team Immunity. Largely in these turrets, of course, 3-0 now, so a lot of map control going over to our veterans.
And more importantly, if we look at where the gold sits for Immunity, Gnar has 6,500 gold. The next highest on his team is like 5,500. He is so much stronger than anyone on the map right now. that whole discrepancy just sitting on this beefy top laner who's now finished the Randuin's Omen, going to just be able to absorb all the physical damage coming through, has some MR as well. I don't think anyone can kill him at this point of the game.
I think it's a really intelligent build path as well, making sure that he has that Randuin's for when these team fights are going to break out. And look at that, no fear at all, just more than happy to clear out that pink ward. He's going to get swept, so his ward's not going to belong there either.
Yeah, and more importantly from JK Smithy, recognizing that if Lissandra ults him in a fight, they've probably won the fight already just because of how fed Uberbro is. As Chip is being caught out a little bit, gets back over the wall, and Zahi's going in.
Yeah, the Grand Skyfall is going to come down. Brilliant Aqua Prison to stop him from doing anything coming through there. Chum the water slow onto Dolphs. He had nowhere to go, found himself between a rock and a whole lot of people. And Dragon going to be started up here for Team Immunity. So going to make it 1-1 on these Dragons now, hopefully, if they can manage to get this one. Villains haven't fully backed off, but you can see now, heading over to that mid lane, they're just going to give this one up. Yeah,
they want nothing to do with that. Much better placement of the ultimate from Zahi coming in there. Led Dolphs into an area that his team could get the kill. That's what Pantheon's ultimate is all about. You don't jump on top of people, you block their exit with your potential CC coming through. A little bit of damage coming down on mid turret, but that's a Dragon for absolutely nothing in return and a kill. Immunity looking to take control of this mid game.
Yeah, and we've been seeing Rek'Sai's, as we mentioned, being very, very strong, but Dolph's not managing to get any edges in this game. We'll see whether he can make it count towards the later stages, but 0-4-3 not having too much impact as Bun Bun now starting up his split push. This Gnar is very strong, though. He may not be able to get many hits on this turret.
Yeah, there is no way Bun Bun can go anywhere near Gnar at this point. Randuin's is just such a good counter against anyone that has to auto-attack. And then even better, he can just leap away after the Deathmark comes through and mitigate a lot of the damage. JK Smithy is the problem on the map right now for Villains. And unfortunately, I don't know if there's an answer until Zed can pick up maybe 2 or 3 more items.
Yeah, I think he at least needs that last Whisper in order to start doing some damage that we can talk about here to this guy. So
yeah, I think he needs the last Whisper, potentially the Yomus as well, just so we can get some additional mobility in there and be able to get a lot more damage done. But the problem is he's opted for Ninja Tabai over Merc, so not going to be able to get out of the CC that Gnar can bring, and that might hurt his damage output in a 1v1.
Yeah, we'll see whether he can make up for that one, as we do have Immunity now pushing down this mid lane once more. Gnar not going to be there, of course. Claire's not there either, so 3 men strong here from Team Immunity coming through. And we can see now on this bottom side, they have a lot of vision control. So going to be able to rotate over to this bottom lane, and Pengu going to have to play back very far, because even just Claire on his own is going to be too much for this this Vayne at this stage.
Yeah, at this point, until he can pick up that QSS to get out of that ultimate that comes through, not going to have the best time in that lane. It looks like Villains have got a good response. Streaming down mid will be able to pick up a turret, but they need to go back because there's a dive coming through. Yeah, we have the teleport coming down as well. Zahi's going to get exhausted, and look at Chippy's coming down with a very heroic play. He's going to die for it, but he's going to protect the turret for now. And they do trade 1-for-1, so Vayne able to pick up a kill. Pengu with that one, and the collapse is coming through. Dolphs is leading the way. He needs to make sure he doesn't go too early. Nice backing off. Yeah, Ubero's going to pick that one up, but look at Dolphs. He's so squishy at this stage. Immediately Bun Bun getting exhausted. The carrier coming down, trying to get the CC out that he needs to. Claire now getting a lot of damage as well. Flashes on top of Bun Bun. Going to pick that one up. Pengu now getting stunned up here. JK Smithy's found his way into this fight. Claire, playful trickster as well. This is the Fizz getting back into the fight. Triple kill, quadra kill. My word, this guy, we thought that he was behind, not anymore. Yeah, and we spoke about how good Claire is mechanically, and he is the catalyst for his team, able to get it in there, but it's just because no one wants to go near JK Smithy. We saw Vayne do everything to get away from him, and Vayne has that true damage, but Claire able to pick up a nice quadra for himself, maybe an ill-advised dive, but it just worked out in the end, as we see the replay. So this is Dolphs, once again, going far too early. Goes in, gets a 3-man knock up here, but just dies before anything else can happen. A nice exhaust goes down on the Bun Bun, and from here it's just Claire taking over the fight. Picks up a kill with the flash here, able to turn around, pick up the Pengu after he tumbles pretty much into him as a gift kill. And then just picks up the carrier afterwards, as the carrier maybe should have hightailed it out of there, but did the good thing, tried to help out his AD carry. Yeah, it was beautiful. And if you didn't manage to see it as well, that Deathmark was in fact cancelled by the playful trickster as well, so Claire with some fantastic mechanical play. But we are going to have the Villains now trying to regroup. They're clearing out some vision on this top side of the map, as Claire does take his blue buff. Going to
to have a lot of that cooldown reduction, and the villains heading back to this mid lane, I think maybe because they don't know what else to do, as Void Rush comes down just to get back to base. So Dolph's utilizing this this ultimate in a variety of ways this game. Gonna leave that turret, leave that tunnel in his base just to get back a little bit faster.
Well, if the call is for them to group, he's exactly right to just use it to get out of the base and really start to farm up. Because if the call's to group, the ultimate is completely useless.
Yeah.
So not bad use of it. It's very useful late game when you can afford to throw Rek'Sai into split pushing a lane just to get it pushing. Not to 1v1 anyone, but just get a tunnel near your team.
Yep.
Make sure that you're able to get the lane pushed out and then really utilize it. So quite a good stall champion actually coming through from Rek'Sai. Doesn't have to pick up much attack damage items to put out some damage. Has some nice base. And looks like Dolph's being invaded on here by T-Gun.
We can see as well, Pengu looking down at these AD carries, 3-1 and 0 now, has that Blade of the Ruin King. That Zeal is going to be turned into a Static Shiv or a Phantom Dancer in the coming moments, but only behind 27 CS against Uber Giants Bro, who's only 0-1-5, as we do have, of course, Zahi falling down in this mid lane. Just going to get tombed up and killed. And that was just another day at the office here for the villains.
Yeah, and a questionable item choice coming out of Zahi has elected for the second Brutalizer, as we see JK Smithy pushing mid lane. However, I think villains will try and match that in the mid lane, as well as a little bit of a split push bottom coming out of Bun Bun. Ziva backing off, so we'll be able to pick up that turret.
Yeah, Uber Giants not going to be able to do much against this Zed, as they do find themselves attacking this turret here. Do the villains as T-Gun trying to harass his way through. Chum the Water's going to come down onto Dolphs. He's going to tunnel his way out of there. Nice! Condemn going to be used in order to get Claire out of the face of Pengu. But
that
nothing going to go on.
Great play from Claire there. Able to make sure the turret doesn't go down for his team. And they trade an outer for an inner. So definitely in favor of immunity there. As we see Dolphs and Bun Bun starting to recall in the bottom lane, and wow, Nami has to be so careful being caught out.
Yeah, the carrier is most definitely dead. Claire doesn't get exhausted early enough, and that is going to spell Dragon here for Team Immunity as Bun Bun is waiting in the wings. Oh, T-Gun, you're in a lot of trouble. Nice Monsoon. Going to keep him alive for now as Void Rush is going to come through immediately here from Dolphs. The teleport coming down as well. Are they going to have any responses from this Dragon as Dolphs actually flashing over into the backline? Not sure whether it's where he wants to be, but look at all of the people dying on the side of the villains. Immunity are just so strong at this stage. That's the AD carry off the board. Dolphs now very squishy. Bun Bun wants to do some work. The death mark's going to come down, immediately cancelled by Claire. And Team Immunity just slamming their way into this game.
Yeah, and the mid-game team fights now with this Fizz and Nah are so hard on the side of villains. They have two fed carries, but they're extremely squishy. And we saw Chippies, if he doesn't ult himself, just gets blown up straight away.
Oh, yeah.
Not able to put out that persistent damage that they do need from Lissandra. This is going to mean another turret and maybe a kill for Claire. No, flash expended on the side of the carrier just to get away from that Chum the Waters.
Yeah, Chum the Waters did try and eat the fish. Not going to come through this time. You'd think that it would do extra damage to an army, but not going to happen at this stage as the inner turret in the mid lane is going to fall down. And JK Smith just going to bounce his way out of that Aqua Prison as well. So the carrier unable to really stop them from pushing up to that inner turret, but the inhibitor is of course going to be safe as Pengu is going to try and clear this one out. But the villains, what do you think that they've got to offer as far as this late game's concerned? Because the likes of Vayne, of course, everyone knows a fantastic champion. I mean, Zed tends to fall off just a little bit based on the fact that people can build Zhonya's Hourglass and the Mikhail's Crucible. Those sort of items that can really help you out against the likes of a Zed, but the split push is always going to be really strong. What do you think? Where are these teams sitting in the late game?
Yeah, I think that 5-man-wise, Immunity are so much stronger as a unit in the late game. Going to have to be extremely careful to group up and not get picked, but they should have absolutely no problem closing this one out. Villains, on the other hand, only have a 1-3-1 split push late game. You mentioned Zed's difficulty going past maybe the 25-30 minute mark. Yep. Does get relegated to that split push duty. Vayne can team fight if you position extremely well, but when you look at how tanky Zahi as well as JK Smithy are becoming, I think that Vayne is going to be relegated into another side lane until they can really start getting going. The good thing for villains in that regard is they have fantastic CC and anti-dive on both Dolphs and Chippies, and Lissandra can clear waves for days with her Q&A.
Waves for days. That's exactly right. And we'll see whether they can manage to make use of this. It seems to me that whoever gets to play this late game on their terms is probably going to come out ahead because they both want to do very, very different things. And Team Immunity grouping up. There's the Grand Skyfall coming through as well, going to split up the villains. It's going to be the Aqua Prison once again. Look at the Tidal Wave coming down, but so much damage from this legendary Fizz. Just going to WQ. Thank you, ma'am.
Doesn't quite rhyme, but it sort of works. Another kill, but once again, not great placement of the ultimate coming out of Zahi. He needs to start leading his team into these fights. He could have altered so much further back up mid lane and forced Vayne to run forward and try and take the river exit, because at the moment they're picking up one kill and it may lead to a Baron, although Baron is so strong at this point in the game.
Yeah, we can see Dolph's able to check as well with that Unburrow. Oh, Zai actually going to come down on top of Pengu here as well. He's very, very low. Not going to die just yet. Chippy's going to flash out of the way of this one. Trying their very best to get out as the villains, and Immunity are chasing as best they can. Ooh, Dolphs does get slowed down, but he's going to be A-okay. Uber Bro, in the meantime, managed to follow up Chippies, and that is going to be another legendary call here for this Fizz. Now 11-2-2. Bun Bun's going to fall down to him. It's a very, very different story from the early game.
Yeah, and interesting to see that they're not turning around and going straight back to that Baron. JK Smithy, of course, extremely tanky at this point. Might have been able to take it out, but they're looking for team fights. It's in their advantage to leave objectives up that aren't the base of villains, because we mentioned that maybe dives aren't the best idea, so why not just make them keep coming back to these Barons, make them keep going back to Dragon when it respawns in 2 minutes, because if villains don't contest these objectives, it's so hard to stop a siege from a 5-Dragon Baron team.
Yeah, that's really, really right. But without Baron and Dragon, the likes of Team Immunity with the comp that they have, not that great in a siege situation. So it's really, really smart of them to leave things for them to bait to allow them to get to these positions. It is going to be 8,000 gold the lead here for Team Immunity at this stage. 28 minutes into this game. Tegan just trying to clear out the vision for his team. And you can see the stranglehold coming through from these guys, just getting further and further ahead with these wards, making sure that they own the jungle of the villains and try and really starve them out of this one. And at this stage, if this is how the game keeps continuing, then Immunity is just going to win. It's just basically going to happen slowly over time.
Yeah, and we've seen that as the gold leads come through, it is much harder to capitalize on a big gold lead early, just because of the changes that were to the turrets, the shields being added as well, Bun being soloed out here by Claire.
He's actually going to... Oh my goodness. I was going to talk about the Ghost Blade, but there is no need. Chum the Waters just ate that Zed. And he is done. We do have On the Hunt being popped here as well. Pengu getting aggressed on so much. Look at the damage coming down. Uber Bro on a killing spree now. Chippies could use that Frozen Tomb, but it's only going to take out Zahi at this stage. So Uber Bro with all of the damage. Chilling's not going to be used onto him. He may have caught himself in a situation he doesn't want to be in. JK Smithy a little bit late to this fight as Chippies uses that Zhonya's Hourglass and a nice Aqua Prison. The bounce going to come down as well. You can use that on champions that are in stasis as well, apparently. And Smithy just going to take that kill into Chippies and get the heck out of Dodge.
And we just saw how little JK Smithy cares about anyone else on the map.
That was beautiful as well,
now.
Jumping on the little golden guy and get himself over the top. That was very cute.
Just took absolutely no damage as Meganar. Now picked up a Sunfire Cape as well. So as long as he's in the middle of the fight, going to be doing so much AoE damage, offering a lot of CC for his team. As we have Dolph checking out Dragon, that will be up, so maybe villains will be able to pick themselves up a Dragon here, although they need to do extremely quickly because Immunity are already on their way back there.
Yeah, they only have Dolphs with the damage here on this one, as T-Gun is going to be able to ward this guy up. Half health now on the Dragon. It's not going down nearly quick enough, but we do have Bun and we do have Pengu. JK Smithy just happy to jump into this one. It is going to be taken here by Pengu of all people. That's going to be the stun onto Dolphs. Look at the Heartseeker Strike doing a lot of work here as well. JK Smithy taking a lot of damage. In fact, Pengu doing a lot of work with that those Silver Bolts. And look at all of the kills now finally coming through on the side of Team Immunity. Pengu trying to kite. It's going to be a matter of time before... No! Is Pengu going to be able to do it? He is going to be able to secure the kill. Uber Bro trying to get through, and there's the Scrying Orb. Going to be able to secure that one as T-Gun going to secure his kill on the support.
That's the map-wide ace. All the while, Claire was top lane, took down the turret, taking down the inhibitor, and that was a 3 versus 4 that Immunity were able to win. 2 to 5 kills.
And I think it might have been just a little bit ridiculous of Dolphs to go in to this Dragon and try and take that one on his own, because it was just going to take him way too long.
Yeah, and as we said, they just headed straight there. Immunity had such good coordination. And JK Smithy, just as we said, he did die in the end, but it just took far too long to kill that now.
And, I mean, something has to be said for Pengu. He did a lot of great work kiting out that Pantheon, making sure that he did as much damage in that fight that he could. I mean, he almost single-handedly did the damage to JK Smithy just then, but it just wasn't enough at this stage of the game.
Yeah, and the problem is we look at how strong Vayne is at this point, but then you look over at Sivir, 100 CS up, 4, 2, and 10. Has those 3 big damage items as well as a QSS for herself. So she's going to be pumping out loads of damage as well as the team-wide ultimate. Uberbro's in just as good a position as Pengu on this Vayne, if not better.
Oh, Claire actually throwing out the ultimate a little bit wide here. Going to playful Trickster his way out of bounds and just going to a little bit upset that his fish throwing ability wasn't quite up there. But as we do see, Immunity now posturing through. They have so much control. It's going to sweep out these wards. The villain's going to try and get something happening, but they know that they can't teamfight because it's not worked once.
Great
There's a
ultimate
very deep Grand Skyfall going to come through. JK Smithy going to instantly get rid of the carrier. Pengu trying to kite yet again. Zahi going to flash out of the way of this one. Nice Monsoon going to split up the villains as well. Zahi may have to sacrifice himself. It's a fantastic exhaust though, so that's going to be Rek'Sai falling down. Pengu being forced to get out of this one. Nice Gnar going to be used, and that's going to be the triple kill coming through from Uber Giants, bro. Has that Vayne just thrown at him, just allows him to pick up that kill, and then immediately transitioning into this inhibitor as well. Team Immunity looking fantastic in this first game against the villains.
Yeah, that is definitely game over, and that was a great ultimate coming out of Zahi there. Blocked the escape path completely. Villains had no idea where to run. Able to pick up the clean ace and game 1 for his team.
What a fantastic performance by our veteran team. And this is something that we haven't necessarily seen as much from Team Immunity as well, because they often like to, you know, play this style that gets them the snowball. And when they're, you know, forced back just a little bit, and there were some hiccups there in that early game, but this time they just grouped together and managed to command these team fights at the end.
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with top lane. The Immunity we were seeing, especially towards the end of last year, was a very controlled team, with Zahi and Claire trying to team up to get picks with each other. They were the two we were really talking about it. This game, JK Smithy exploded.
Yep.
He got a couple of good ganks early, and then a really poor dive out of villains just set him up for a terrific Gnar game. Really came up big.
Yeah, so I don't think we're necessarily going to be seeing any Gnar in the next game. That guy was just an absolute monster in Game 1. But Game 2 going to be coming up